All right, good afternoon, everybody. Back here with the final Anki video for this week. This video is going to cover a lot of content, so try to take it slow, and we'll just work through it. But yeah, this is a lot of cards. So this is covering 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday lectures of this week. So a lot of endocrinology. So we're gonna just jump right in. Gonna be in step one, first aid, endocrine, where we've been all week, but we're gonna jump down to physiology to start. I'm gonna start in the subsection 1, hypothalamic pituitary hormones. And so ACTH, this is what it's gonna look like. So you just want all of them except the second to last card, and then the fifth. So the fifth and second to last ones are the ones I don't have, but the rest are good. All of them in CRH. Dopamine, you should have the second one. If yours is organized the same as mine, you should have the second one, skipping the first, the third, the fourth, and then grabbing the rest except for treatment of prolactin. Since we can make dopamine agonists, that dopamine decreases prolactin release. So that's why I'm remembering that with not having to do an extra card. So GnRH, none of those. Yeah, none of those. Growth hormone releasing hormone, GnRH, or GHRH. Wow, my goodness. You want the first four, and then you want this one here in the middle that GHRH decreases its own secretion. And melanocyte, MSH, you want the first three. Oxytocin, we should have all of those from our previous video. Prolactin, you should have these cards activated from a previous video, but if you don't, this is what it should look like, with the addition of two new ones down here, that prolactin secretion is tonically inhibited by dopamine. Somatostatin, there's just two new ones here. So there is this one below the one that was activated earlier. Why did I activate opioids? That one's a mistake. That one's a mistake. Sorry. But this one you want. This is the only new one then. And then TRH, we want to make sure we have all of those now. Then we're going to go into growth hormone. And growth hormone, you want to have all of them activated except for the last one, and then the fourth coming up from the bottom. So if yours is organized the same as mine, that's how it should look. I'm just going to start minimizing these, and then we're going to go to ADH, or vasopressin. And yours, you're going to want all of these cards except for two. The one that, yeah, this card is like, yeah, basically, if high volume, high osmolarity, volume trumps osmolarity, ADH is not secreted because you have a high volume. Didn't want that. And then let's see what effect it paid. Yeah, and this one didn't pick up either. And then prolactin, we got some new cards here, but we'll jump into these subsections. So in deficiency, you want the first two. Excess, you want the first four, skipping two, grabbing the next four, and then the last one. Function, you should have already had these from a previous video, but the first two and the last one. And then in synthesis and secretion, you should have already had the first three, skipping three, and then the next five, but these three new ones, and then the last card. And yeah, and then in thyroid hormones, we're going to just jump around to the other sections here. So thyroid hormones, you want all of them except for four. This one, the thyroid hormones relating to the oxygen consumption of organs. I didn't pick that one up. It wasn't said specifically in the lecture. And then coming down to the bottom, you want the first three coming up, but then the fourth, fifth, and sixth, I did not pick up. In sketchy and farm, I believe these were activated in another section, but the ones you should have activated is the first one. And then this one in the middle, that TRH acts on the IP3 signaling cascade. So that's a G sub Q. In synthesis, we're going to want a lot here. So you can activate all of them, and the four I don't have. Coming down to the thyroglobulin synthesis, don't have this one, or the one following it, talking about thiocyanate and perchlorate. And then the card about obesity, and then the very last one I do not have. And then TBG, I just have the last card here. And TSH, all of them except for this one here that that the antibodies relating to thyrotropin receptor antibodies is an IgG derivative. And then the TRH, you want all 4 of those now. And that is it for thyroid hormones. And we're going to skip over parathyroid over a few of these, and we're going to go to 11, the adrenal system. So a lot of cards here. We're going to go to subsection for steroid synthesis. And you want to come down and start activating at which enzymes. So if you can see here, we're skipping all the numbers, and it's the first one after the numbers. You're going to follow that all the way down up until the second to last pregnenolone. The reason being that these are duplicates, so you should only, I mean, if you want both, you can have both. I just have one. So you want that chunk there, and then with these duplicates, you want to, you can skip one, and then you're going to skip the card following it, and then you're going to grab those 4, and then in this chunk, you're going to want this middle chunk here, that all steroid hormones are derivatives of cholesterol, but you should have that activated from a previous video. And then coming from the bottom, all these 17s and the 11s you want to have. None in the congenital hyperplasia section. And then I can't remember if these are activated previously from the synthesis section or not, but this is what your 11-hydroxylase screen should look like. So you want the 3rd, and then coming up from the bottom, you want 2, 3, 4, 5. 17-hydroxylase, you want the first one. And then these 5 here in the middle, the 2 zonas and the progesterone and the pregnenolone one. But this is that duplicate coming back. And then in 21, yours should look like this already, I believe. And then in cortisol, in dexamethasone, just the first 2, and functions quite a bit here. So if you want, you can activate all of them, and then we can just deactivate the ones we don't want. So activate the whole screen, and then you want to deactivate the first 3, and then is hypocortisolism, deactivate. You want to have this one. Talking about decreasing glucose utilization, but this one is just kind of very specific. So glucocorticoids are anti-inflammatory, they decrease immune response. And there's a card in this mix, and we're explaining that, so that's why I don't have this one. And then again with these 2 anti-inflammatories. And then we're going to come down to the exogenous corticosteroids. And deactivate these. And again, that's because of a very specific anti-inflammation explanation. And then in synthesis and secretion, you want the first one, skipping 2 and 3, and then you want the rest there. And I believe that is it for this section. Yep. So we're going to minimize those sections, minimize physiology, and then we're going to come down into pathology. So endocrine pathology. And we're going to go into hypothyroidism basics to start. And in basics, going to be jumping around. So you want number 3, and then you want number 6, 8, and 9. And then you're going to scroll down here, and you're going to look for the Wolff-Chaikoff effect. So these 2 cards here, so you're going to get both those Wolff-Chaikoffs. Then the one after that, skip 2, come down and grab these 2 cards here. And then we're going to go to Hashimoto thyroiditis, and that's just, I think this should already be activated, but just knowing that Hashimoto thyroiditis is the most common cause of hypothyroidism if iodine is not is supplemented in a lot of foods. So that's like most common in the United States. And that is it for this section. And we're going to be in hyperthyroidism, and just in basics to start. You want number 4 and 5, and then this is where it's going to get a little messy. So bear with me. You're going to do 4 and 5. Then you're going to skip 4, come down to this card here, skip 3 more, come down to which thyroid imbalance. Yeah, this one that comes in here. And then again, these Wolff-Chaikoff, I believe, should already be activated, but if they're not, pick them up. And then from these Wolff-Chaikoff ones, you want to come down to in which disorder, like may a patient be present with a goiter. This one might already be activated as well from hypothyroidism, but in case it isn't, grab that and then the one following it. And then we want to go to Graves' disease, and just this one, what is the most common cause of hyperthyroidism? Graves' disease, just make sure that is activated. And that is it for here, so we're going to minimize that. But we're not quite done. We have Cushing syndrome. So diagnosis, I just have the first 2. Etiology, just actually that's, we can skip etiology. It's in a presentation, which is where it would be. So in presentation, skip the first 2. And then you want all of the rest except for 3 cards, the lymphopenia, and then these ones here. This is just hyper specific, so didn't really think that was necessary. I think we just needed to know like general effects versus inhibiting GnRH. But if this one would be helpful, I might activate it. We'll see later. But then not in treatment. And then that is it for Cushing's. And then in hyperaldosteronism, we're just going to be in basics. You want to grab those 4 there. And that is it. So a lot of cards today. Please rewatch the video if that was a little chaotic. But as always, hope this is helpful and happy studying.